So, a bit of a report, I suppose, over the last few days. Since finishing school on Friday, which was fantastic, speaking to Dave was a high point, and Luke was lovely, talking about the kids, and what his plans are, and it was just really nice to actually have a goodbye kind of like drink with a bunch of people that I've been working with, and they were saying such nice things about how the Cope group really likes me, and how he's dubious at the beginning of the year. Luke was dubious about meeting me, and he thinks that I'm a kind of good guy, and it was really nice. And that means I was able to just be really nice to people and say really nice things. I also tried to confront Ed. Ed, I confronted with saying he was a Greek god in the eyes of the kids. He's like a surfer. He's 6 foot something or other, big guy, blonde hair, 31, solid enough, just really solid guy. And I was saying that the kids were looking at him like a Greek god. Because like the day before, 2 girls I'd been teaching came up, and they talked to me for about 2 seconds, and I was just their normal teacher. And then they looked at this guy, and it was like they were entering into another world. and Ed just stood there like, you know, and it was like they were talking to a god, you know. So I confronted him with that, and he doesn't know where he's going in his life, and he's 31, and he's obviously got social power. It's obvious. I mean, amongst his peers, but also amongst kids, obviously. And it's interesting that the guy who's taken over the school is 38, and he's just, you know, a dweeb, all right? But because he's going to be in a power position, he's going to control things. Meanwhile, this guy, who's obviously got a huge amount of power, very bright guy, you know, how's he contributing? You know? So that was kind of interesting. Anyway, the following day, it was really nice, saying nice things from James, and that was really nice. I stayed with for 2 weeks as a toko, saying goodbye, and they helped me move, and that was lovely. Got in the car, drove to Bath, saw Yinka. Yinka's doing really well. She's going all over the world, she's doing interesting things. She was at the Burning Man, which is an event where they do, was it 40,000 people? 4,000 people? 40,000 people pay something like 40 to 50 pounds, and then for 10 days they just have these incredible activities where they have lots of burning. They get lots of things and weird sculptures and parties. They were wandering around like people cycling naked, dishing out like free ice creams or something. Very odd. But it's just kind of like self-organised and an alternative kind of festival, really alternative. And there are other ones popping up on the planet. So that's what Yinka's up to. She's enjoying herself, collecting experiences, making networks. Very interesting. Right, I stayed there for 2 days, and then on Monday night, I had a very interesting conversation with Yinka. She brought up my kind of like proposal to various women like 3 years ago. And this is the first time we talked about it. I'm not going to go into details, but it was nice, and we talked about things for the first time in 3 years. And it's the most intelligible conversation I've had with any of the women that I sent CD to, so that was good. And then eventually, however, I left there at like about 1 o'clock, 1:15 in the morning. I was meant to leave about 10. I ended up leaving at 1:15 in the morning. And I went to a place called, not Wigan, somewhere or other, outside of Oxford. And it was storming, it was raining, and I drove at night. Because I was meant to see this guy, I was meant to go earlier, but I ended up getting there for about 2:30, 2:15 in the morning. Okay, and this guy, who I haven't seen, Chris, I haven't seen since university, that's 18 years ago. And, you know, I meet him in this cottage, it was like mansion, cottage, like 400 years old. And his friend, who he hadn't seen since school, I think. Okay, so it must be about 20 years, 22 years. And we had an incredible conversation, went on for 3 hours, and just very interesting. Talking about business and so on and so forth, change, life. Incredible. Okay, they were a little bit drunk, but it was really nice. Because what I'm doing is I'm just saying things to people now. It doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter what's going on, I'm just saying things to them. And if it's valuable, it's valuable, if it's not, it's not. But I'm just learning what I can say and get away with saying about a person. And kind of ignoring boundaries and so on and so forth, and just going straight for saying nice things to people. And that was they were really appreciative, and his friend was really appreciative, and it was really nice. And in the morning, they went off for some kind of business meeting to try and make millions of pounds doing something, some kind of refrigeration unit, control unit or something or other, and then diversify into some other area. Stop Legionnaire's disease or Legion something or other. It's bizarre. So they had this business initiative, and they explained it to me, and I understood it, reflected back to them. Anyway, and then I came to here to London. That's where I am now. I'm staying at Tav's place. Moved in, saw Erin in the evening, talked with Tav mostly yesterday and today, planning about how we're going to kind of play around for the next 10 days. Social art. We've got this idea of the beautiful brigade. We've got the Yes group, and we've got the idea, you see, I mean, okay, give you an example of the kind of crazy quality of ideas. The beautiful brigade. What happens if it was possible that you could speak to 5 beautiful people just randomly that day? Just kind of like, you see them, you think they're beautiful, and they're obviously beautiful. And that means they have power. And they're aware they have power. And the trick is to somehow connect with them. The kind of people that are probably on, you see them on television, advertising things. Beautiful people. And the idea is if we approach them, we manage to make 5, connect to 5. And the deal is, okay, we try to provide experiences for them so it's interesting. Maybe teach them something about language in order to give them a bit of an edge. So, because if you imagine these people, I mean, when they go to these kind of job interviews where they're trying to get I don't know, the position, the place, whatever, to be able to advertise something, how do they stand out from the crowd? How do they represent a product or something or other? And they've got to have more of a character. So we're not going there we're not talking to them because of their looks, we're talking to them because to see if they've got personality and trying to bring that out a little bit, something like that. So we're going to try and do that for them. But in exchange, they're going to have experiences, which is useful for them. And one of the useful and interesting experiences is if they, for example, speak to 5 people the following day and kind of enlist them to do the same, that is to find 5 other people. In 7 days, we have 50,000 people. And we could potentially have here in Spitalfields, just outside here, which is kind of a big social kind of area, Brick Lane nearby. And in 7 days we have, say, 50,000 people. 50,000 people. All it is just 1 talking to 5. Now the reason why that won't work is because the conditions aren't right. If you go up to people and say something to them as a stranger, they're not going to take part immediately. However, it's almost there. We're almost there. There's potential. And the problem is, you see, that people won't do it. You know, some people say, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then you speak to them the next day or 2 days later, oh yeah, I forgot. You know. So the idea is that people have to understand that it's an opportunity. But, you know, it's that kind of quality of idea. We've also thought about, Tad's really been thinking about the idea of the alternative branding sponsorship, called it micro-patronage. And so Tav is really convinced that we're going to go to Imperial or somebody or other, some kind of tobacco company, and offer for Tav to be called Tav Gauloise, which is a cigarette brand he smokes. And hopefully they're going to give him £100,000. £100,000 for him to change his name effectively to Tav Gauloise, and for the next 18 months, any press, he's going to be called Tav Gauloise. And therefore he's going to be passively advertising. It's called secondary advertising. So if anybody ever reports that Tav, they can say Tav Gauloise, and therefore Gauloise will be advertised. And he will also be doing it actively, where he's going to be recommending the brand to people just because he likes it. It's an alternative kind of funding. If you think about advertising, most of it, billions and billions, the flow of money has gone from television, and it's kind of gone into computers, into the internet, and advertising there. And there's like more than $1 billion per month is going into that, it seems. Well, maybe in 5 years' time, we can imagine that there's an equivalent amount of money, or maybe that money's been split or something or other, in towards people. Because we're social entrepreneurs, we're doing a startup. But the startup that we do is not like a computer startup in a basement or in a garage. Our startup is in the living room or out in the street. Past the idea, we set the idea past Tav's flatmates. One who's in advertising, and he kind of liked the idea of social art, and the other, that's Zhang, and the other one is Xu, and she's beautiful, and she liked the idea of the beautiful idea. So it's kind of looking good. It's great, in fact. Oh, I did tango yesterday, and that was pants. But such is life. You can't have everything.